practices this week. We've got 49ers-Vikings content coming from you. We've got an update. 49ers first joint practice was today. It should be wrapping up soon. Started about 2 hours ago. I'm here with my guy, John. We're going to be breaking it all down right after this.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the 49ers Red Zone podcast. I'm here with the one and only John Chapman. John, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great, man. You know, the 49ers have their joint practice session with the Vikings starting today. Still on a high from the preseason performance against the Packers. And, man, dove into the film, finally got through all the offense and defensive film, feeling great, absolutely incredible about the performance on top and bottom. And I'm glad to be here with you, man. The work that you and Marco have been doing is incredible. So pumped, man. Excited to get some questions. If you got those in the chat, throw them up there. And, man, let's freaking dive in, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, let's definitely do it. And I always love going with you because we can see the CC squad just pushing right
They're
in.
the best, man. I love it.
Man.
Countdown crew, hashtag. We do giveaways on our feed. We're going we're going both feeds right now, which is awesome. It's like an Avengers setup. And that's a hashtag CC. If they do that on any of our live shows, the first 2 minutes, they get entered into a monthly giveaway. So that's the whole idea there.
Yeah, and it's definitely great, that you guys all the chat is pulling in. Thank you all for tuning in on this. What is it? I don't even know what the day is. It's Wednesday morning. Thank you both for all of you for tuning in. But like you said, let's get right into it. Joint practices started today. Pretty long practice so far. It started, I believe, at 8:00, or that was the scheduled starting time. Pacific time, 10:00 Central time. It's currently near 12, so it's going nearly 2 hours. What is your expectations over the next 2 days and really getting into this preseason game?
I think that these 2 days, okay, so today is going to be mostly individual with some team-specific team practices. So, like, you'll do red zone, you'll do inside, outside, you'll do, like, scale, you'll do some of those things. Tomorrow's going to be much more of a scrimmage. So, this is the day where you finally get the test on the offensive line, which you saw that in the first preseason game, but offensive line and defensive line, that's what you can take the most away from this from. You know, wide receivers, secondary, they can do all their stuff without pads, whatever else. Interior line play, almost impossible without pads. So them going against somebody else. We know the 49ers D-line's one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. How are they going to fare against this Vikings defense? That's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah, definitely. And to me, this is the first test that we're really seeing where the starters can go at it because it's not their own team anymore. It's really going against another team. And I mean, for the offensive line, how does the offensive line hold up against that Vikings defensive line that has a couple of good players on its own? And then how does the Vikings defensive line or Vikings offensive line hold up against our defensive line? And we've seen some of the initial returns so far, as well as how does Trey Lance play against the first team cornerbacks? Because if you didn't know, Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, both are out of team drills. Mosley did return to practice, I believe, today.
Yes,
but they're
huge.
They're both out of team drills. So that means that the 49ers haven't really had their top two corners out. So you're getting their top two corners out here when you're going against the Vikings.
And yeah, Eric Armstead and Emmanuel Mosley came back. They're practicing, not fully. They're doing individual drills, slow ramp up, but that's great news. But yes, you are correct. Still a lot of players out. I mean, you've got two starters in the secondary that aren't out there, and Jimmy Ward, he's got a while to go. And Charvarius Ward, I think they're just going to keep him out until it's time for the season. I do expect Ward to be back week one, not Charvarius Ward back week one, not Jimmy Ward back week one. But yeah, so So you're going to get a testament because you're going to get up against one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver tandem in the NFL, and Adam Thielen and Jefferson. I mean, Jefferson's as good
Exactly.
as anybody. So this is going to be good. It's going to be a test because they're wide receivers and our wide receivers, completely different skill sets. They play the same position, but it's completely different. We have a physical kind of contested catch modus operandi. They do not. That's not what they do. They are skilled route runners that create space and go get the ball. So it's going to be a little bit of a different challenge for the 49ers secondary.
Right, and that actually brings us right here to this comment. Lenore and Ambry Thomas having a rough day. Well, you would expect them to have a rough day because Deommodore Lenore is lined up against Justin Jefferson, and Ambry Thomas, I believe, is lined up against Adam Thielen, two top receivers. So, I mean, especially when it's in this setting, I would expect backup level cornerbacks to have a rough day against frontline level wide receiver starters. So, take it as you wish,
Yeah.
worried or not. I think both of them haven't, like, Lenore had a strong start to camp and then has pretty much played average the rest of the way, while Ambry Thomas has been struggling, obviously,
Nonstop.
in general in camp. So
Yeah.
we can start with those two. How do you like what are you thinking about those two cornerbacks, about the depth chart behind our top two corners, and would you be okay with one of them having to start a game if, or with this 49ers team, it's when we see an injury to the top two corners?
Man, I would say I feel much more confident in Diamador Lenore because, if you look at the preseason game, which, you know, he was much more consistent and in phase, right? So one of the things, the coaching technique with corners, who's in phase, who's out of phase. Ambry Thomas out of phase way too often. His transition step, whenever he's changing from a shuffle to from a back pedal to a shuffle, or a shuffle to open it up and turn it and running, he just loses so much ground when the ball's in the air. You don't see that so much with Diamador. And Diamador's a better tackler. I don't want either
Yeah.
one of them getting starter reps, but if we had to, I would feel way more comfortable with Lenore, which is crazy coming after what we saw last year with Ambry Thomas getting us into the playoffs, and his game seemed to be trending upwards. Has not had the best off season. So, how long is it going to take for him to get back to where he was? He's not there right now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And if we're speaking objectively, I've pointed out during the training camp period that throughout training camp, Lenore was the better cornerback. And you could make the argument that a guy like Tariq Castro Fields has even played better than Ambry Thomas overall. And so, yeah, I do agree with you that Lenore is likely the first man up. But it is good to see that because of the injuries, they're going to get essentially thrown in the fire. And if you're going against these top cornerbacks, I'm okay if you get deep, burn deep. Just play them where they're most comfortable. With Ambry, that's press man. Play him in press man. If he gets grabby, he gets grabby. But you got to learn through those reps. So this is the best way to do it against top
Yeah.
corners. Play him in press man, throw him in the fire, and see how it works.
And
Real quick,
what, the other
yeah, go
corner
ahead.
you didn't bring up was Kader Holman, who
Yeah,
he got sliced up. He's been getting snaps ahead of Diamador Lenore all
yeah.
camp and in the preseason. He did make a couple good plays, but it
Not a great
showed.
first start, we'll say. Yeah.
It was rough. It was rough.
Got to say, real quick, my guy Marco unfortunately did catch COVID. So hopefully you're feeling better later today when we are expected to go live. So stay tuned for that. But hopefully you feel better. And yeah, hopefully everything is going well there.
Dude,
Uh,
Marco, I just want to say shout out to that man. He is the best of us. I consider Marco a good friend for years now. We've chatted a handful of times. He's awesome. Love that dude. Love y'all's show, which y'all put together. And for those of you that are watching my feed, if you haven't caught their show yet, you got to. You just got to. I mean, they just put out too much good content.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. We've got our first super chat of the day, though, and it comes from Bro Montana. The Vikings are running our old 2011 to 2013 3-4 look with that
Mhm.
Donatel as their DC. Remember, they
Yes.
hired a new defensive coordinator, I believe, this year. And so they're Bro Montana here says he's kind of excited for these trench battles. What is your takeaway about them running that old scheme, and how will we combat that?
I love it because it's different. I will say this, the 3-4 and the wide 9 have some overlays whenever you're looking at run gaps and attacking and, where it is you're trying to set your running lanes, but
Mhm.
it's different. And this is something we haven't seen necessarily. So this is another good test for the 49ers offense. That I keep going back to this. It's their 2 days. This is brand new stuff because you haven't seen 3-4 yet. All training camp, all mini camp, you're running your own stuff. Now is the time to say, all right, guys, look, whenever we're doing this, the outside zone looks different. The inside zone looks different against this defense. And so we got to see it. Now, we don't really see a lot of 3-4 stuff in our own division, but you're going to have several games a year, usually 5 to 6. Against a 3-4 look, that odd man front. It just changes your blocking assignments. And so it changes your quarterback reads too, because it adds an extra skill guy that you got to read in the zone read or in quick, slants and things like that. It just changes where your eyes go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Demarcus Dixon asked, "Does Kyle speak today?" He actually, I believe, is speaking right now. They are slated. Kyle was slated to speak today after practice, so that might be going on now or in a few minutes. Moving on with the questions, let's go over to Zachman 106. I believe this is Zach. He or no, we got to this one. Let's go to the next one, which is Shat J asking about Talanoa Hufanga and his coverage at free safety. He's feeling good. What do you think about the initial returns on Talanoa Hufanga, John? And obviously after that big hit in the preseason game.
Find the issues. I know that there are some tape guys out there that really don't like Hufanga, especially in coverage, but holy cow. I mean, how many snaps did he play? He played 19 snaps. You go watch, find him being out of position, find him not opening up the way that he's supposed to the deep threat. You haven't seen it. Now, he played a lot up front into the line of scrimmage, but he played a lot of back snaps as well. So, what was his total? He had 11 coverage snaps and he had 8 run defense snaps. So, he got a little bit of work. He's going to have some issues. There's no doubt about it. But when he saw George Odom go in there, he struggled. When he saw Tarvarius Moore in there, good gosh, he struggled. I will say this, though. Another guy that I really, really like, who even outplayed, what's his name? Leon O'Neal, who a lot of people were really high on. Taylor Hawkins, sorry. That's another guy graded positively, film looked good where he needed to be. Not a lot of highlight plays, but consistently, that dude was where he needed to be. So Hufanga, big time stock up. The energy that he brings is great, but also Taylor Hawkins. That's somebody I'm going to be watching a lot this week. I expect him to get a lot of snaps in this game coming up Saturday.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited too because Dante Johnson was probably going to slot in as that second team safety with obviously Jimmy Ward out, but Taylor Hawkins now will get that spot because Johnson himself is injured with the rib injury. Do the 49ers sign someone before then? We'll see. But right now, our top 4 safeties are Talanoa Hufanga, Tarvarius Moore, George Odom, and Taylor Hawkins, which means that you should see extended play for the backups, which is a good sign. And Taylor Hawkins, this is like essentially your biggest look as to whether he could potentially make, or if you view him as a guy that could be on the roster in the future, be it as a practice squad guy this year or be it as a 53-man guy this year. So it'll be definitely interesting to see. And this is kind of like a prove it game for Taylor
Yeah.
Hawkins this year.
I don't. They're not bringing anybody in this week, obviously, because
Yeah.
waivers have processed. But yeah, if Dante Johnson is not ready to practice next week, then I think they'll bring somebody else in. And
Yeah.
he had Dante Johnson. He played all over the place, but he made one incredible tackle for loss in the very next play. Terrible pursuit angle, gave up a touchdown. And so,
Yeah.
like that consistency for a 9-year vet's not there yet. That's scary. It's a new position. But that's got to change. And if he doesn't get healthy next week, I could see a change take place. Not that they'll cut him, but they'll bring somebody else in.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, we got another question from Zach. Right tackle position seems to be struggling a bit. Now, for context, Mike McGlinchey was out today with the injury that he suffered on Friday, but really, I feel like he suffered earlier last week on the last day of training camp, and it might have lingered. He is now not practicing this week. So Colton McKivitz got the start at right tackle today. And from the reports, the offensive line was struggling today. Defensive line of the Vikings seemed to be giving the offensive line a lot of fits, seemed to be getting in the backfield, forcing Trey Lance to move with his legs a lot. And so right tackle seems to be struggling. Are you worried in any sense about the right tackle position?
It's my number one concern for this team. Not only early on, week 1, week 2, for the entire season. You had a quad tear. That is not a small issue for McGlinchey surgery. And let's be honest, McGlinchey's good. He's an above average right tackle in the NFL, but he wasn't great. And he had his issues. Those 1 to 2 bloopers a game coming off an injury. We'll have to see. But no, there's some concern there for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, also talking about depth, right? Because this is in a way a tryout for if McGlinchey doesn't remain healthy throughout a 17-game season, who do the 49ers try out at right tackle? Colton McKivitz initially has looked all right. Today was a
Right.
struggling day. The other guy, I'll put out a name there because not a lot of guys know about him. He's not the best fit in our system. That's the one knack on him, but that's Jordan Mills. Jordan Mills has been a fairly solid pass protector. He's
Yes.
31 years old. He can't necessarily move as well in the run game, definitely compared to McGlinchey, but he's a solid pass protector, and that just might be what you want at that position.
He's one of the players that had no existing time with Shanahan's scheme. So
Yeah.
he's a vet. He's over 30 years old, played 35 snaps. He's the opposite of what Shanahan goes for in linemen. He's not the best run blocker, but he's predominantly a good pass blocker. If you look across the 49ers offensive line, it's exactly switched. Everybody is a road grader that blocks perfectly in a zone system. That's not Jordan Mills. But man, he did not make any mistakes in pass pro. So, if I'm looking from a Trey Lance perspective, if Colton McKivitz or Jalen Moore cannot step up, I've lost all confidence in school. I actually would not have been surprised if he would have been cut, but whatever. If I'm looking for who's going to protect Trey Lance the best, if those two guys don't work out, Jordan Mills possibly could be starting week 1, which is insane. But I wouldn't be upset because, again, while you might lose a little bit in the run game, I don't want Trey Lance getting hit. That's what I want least. So I have confidence in Jordan Mills after watching that tape.
Yeah, definitely. And before we continue, this is the most important part of the show. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And then John's got that Patreon. Be sure to go head on over there and show him some support.
Love it, man. Love it, man. Shotjay's the best, dude. He's just a good dude. He's swole too, man. You always see him working out in his
Damn.
pictures over there. I'm staying away, man. Glad he's on my side.
Good. You got yourself a free bodyguard now. And speaking of him, he asked, did you see Kinlaw's pancake on that poor offensive lineman?
I missed it so far, but the plays that Kinlaw got in there, he graded poorly from PFF. Don't care. Stats didn't show up. All I cared about with Kinlaw was the power there because he lost a lot of weight, the surgery, all those things. And I can tell you right now, power's there. Every time he engaged a lineman, you saw the guys pop back. So can he continue to stack these healthy days? I'm less concerned day by day with Kinlaw. Now, is he going to be a 6-sack guy or whatever? I don't care about that. Is he going to allow All-Pro Fred to return because he's just stuffing the inside of that the offensive line with Eric Armstead? The formula is set, and if he stays healthy, man, I'm huge on Kinlaw this year. Huge on Kinlaw. In fact, I just bought a autographed Javon Kinlaw jersey to give away at one of our road trips. So
That's perfect.
Excited about that one.
And you talk about Kinlaw right now. The one positive that I took away from the game was the availability.
Mm-hmm.
Javon Kinlaw, you've seen a lot of 49er players, especially Mike McGlinchey, be eased in a way, play limited reps. Trent Williams at times has even played limited reps. Javon Kinlaw has been thrown in the action. When he's on the field, he's been playing a ton. And so that was, to me, a positive. You saw Kinlaw out there in the preseason game. In training camp, you've seen Kinlaw play a good amount towards the second half of training camp. And so it's a good sign, at least, to see him. And the speed definitely is there overall. The athlete is there.
Yeah.
Now it's just getting the refinement in pass pro to really start making these plays, whereas he didn't really make them on Friday.
Yeah. What D'Amico say? Back-to-back times that D'Amico went up there, separated by a week's time for press conferences, asked about Kinlaw. He said technique I think he said it 12 times in the 2 questions about Kinlaw. Technique, technique, technique. That's all he's
Uh-oh.
got to work on. He has everything. He's just got to work on that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the big thing, right? With Javon Kinlaw in the entirety of his career. And it's not really something that's a problem. It's just he
Mhm.
hasn't been given the chance because he hasn't been on the field. So when you talk about Javon Kinlaw and technique, that is where, reps is where he's going to get it through, which is why it's good to see him available on the field.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm excited. I'm very excited about this defensive line. The fact that Robert Kimdichie went out there and put the performance he did, but the 49ers felt confident to walk away and cut him, that's a testament. They're happy with what they have on the inside.
Yeah, definitely. Continuing with these questions, we've got one about Toure. How are we feeling about Kamoko Toure? And I know you chopped up the film. I've seen it too. You give me your thoughts on Kamoko Toure.
Dude is a baller. I thought he would be a pass rush specialist only. Holy cow, man. The amount of positive plays that he made was just in the run game, in the pass game, just sound, hustle, winning early, winning late. It was so difficult to find a negative rep from him, and he played a ridiculous amount. He played 46 snaps, which I think
Yeah.
was up too close to the most. Ambry Thomas had the most with
Yeah.
53, but I walked away. Jordan Willis, huge step down, just out of position several different times. But Kamiko Toure, just positive. Not a lot of like highlight, whatever, but just positive, positive, positive. Understood his run assignments, which was huge because he's coming from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So this is a little bit new for him a little bit as well. And oh man, I couldn't take my eyes off 53. Every time he was out there, I was like, ooh. And he just flashed continuously.
Yeah, he was one of my top 5 players from the game.
Yeah.
And Toure, the surprise to me was he's excelled in pass rushing, right? Over throughout training camp. There was a day he had 5 sacks against the second and third team defense. But to see him play as well, and even there are plays where he isn't really the guy, like the main guy making the tackle or anything, but just him filling in. It was definitely a good thing to see that you have another guy who could be Teray right now is the second version of Samson Ebukam to me because
Yeah.
he's a guy who can do both, better at pass rushing, but can fill in the run game too. And we talk about Jordan Willis. I was surprised by his performance because he had been looking fairly solid in training camp as a run defender, primarily as a run defender, maybe not as much with the pass rushing yet. But like you said, not really the best game of him so far.
My thing is he just kept losing contain repeatedly. And so if you wanted to like fans kind of talk about Samson like, oh, he doesn't get all those sacks, he's a little bit boring, whatever else. But here's the thing. No missed tackles all year, always where he should be. D'Amico Ryans preaches consistency above all else. You look at Jordan Willis now. Why he had the second highest grade from Pro Football Focus. It got 4 pressures. You watch those pressures, they were on naked bootlegs where he lost contain outside. So, yeah, you
Yeah.
got to pressure, but not all pressures are the same. And he just was out of place. Probably 7, 8 snaps out of his 35. So you're talking about 1 out of every 3 snaps, negative grade. I don't know. He still flashed. He had some positive plays. There's no doubt. But, man, way too many negative plays for a vet that's been in the system now 2 years. I still think he makes this roster, but he's my last D end. Like I moved Kerry Hyder ahead of him. Charles Omenihu's. I think. Let me put it this way: there's 2 tiers. Okay, you've got Nick Bosa by himself, ungodly. Okay,
Yeah.
then you've got a bunch of guys that Samson, Drake Jackson, Charles Omenihu, and now Kamiko Toure. That's that tier. Then below them, Kerry Hyder, and at the very end is Jordan Willis. And I think Kerry Hyder's a little bit different because he can play inside outside. So the versatility, the experience, the scheme fit, but just talent wise, those are my 3 tiers. And Jordan Willis is at the bottom, even though I think he still makes this roster. Very, very bad showing.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully turns it around. He should get more time in this second game, especially because I don't expect guys like Nick Bosa, especially Ark Armstead and all those guys to play again. You'll get a lot more reps for the backups. Willis, like you said, 35 reps in game 1. Could see a similar amount in game 2. And hopefully he turns it around, especially in the run game. Because I mean, the backup running back in Minnesota is one of the better backups in the entire
Yeah,
league.
yes,
You're
he
going to
is.
go against a pretty solid backup over there in Alexander Madison. So
Man,
it could be
I
a good
wanna see
challenge.
Minihue so bad. Like, I'm so high on a Minihue. I'm a Longhorn, so I'm biased, I understand. But his efficiency numbers last year were off the charts, and remember, he
Yeah.
got traded midseason.
Yeah.
Had a great offseason. I wanna see him. I wanna see him. I really, really wanna see that guy.
And I think honestly, in a way, it was just the 49ers showing confidence that they know what they have in Omenihu by letting him sit in a way.
I was
And so,
shocked. I was
yeah,
shocked.
I was definitely shocked because I was thinking they'd want to experiment with Omenihu and maybe Drake Jackson or Omenihu and some of these other guys in these rotations, seeing who works well amongst each other. But he got the rest, which was interesting.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it says a lot whenever you get the healthy guys that don't play, right? So that's a salute. And I think that's where they see Charles Omenihu. And again, I've said this several times this offseason. If I could buy stock in a player to have a huge breakout year, Charles Omenihu is at the top of the list. I just think he's going to ball out. He's going to get that Arden Key role, and I think it. He's going to be good, man. He's going to be
Yeah,
good.
he's gonna be good. PH Boss here asks, need an update on Burford and Banks. I honestly thought they looked good during game one. What were your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. It's funny the way they win. They win differently. They play the same position, right? Left guard, right guard.
Yeah,
Win
that's true.
differently. Left guard Eric Banks, just solid as a rock. Nobody can get around him. Not a lot. Yeah, I think I got one pancake watching him, maybe two, but he's not that uber aggressive, going to destroy you, Trent Williams guy. This is not what he is. He's just a behemoth, so wide, the widest guy on the line. People can't get around him. He played great. Then you got Burford. Burford is taking people's souls and he's shoving people's faces in the ground. He teabagged a guy. Like, I mean, he's off the charts aggressive and mean. So there's no new updates besides the fact, holy freaking cow. And Burford, here's another thing with Burford. He lost a handful of reps early, but was able to regather and seal so that Trey didn't get hit. Like if you remember the Trey Lance slide play, right, where he scrambled
Yeah,
and slid, Burford whiffed early, but his
and
athleticism
then
and
pushed him. That
quickness,
was a great rep, right? He
oh,
recovers, athletic, and then pushes him to the outside so Lance steps up in the middle. Yeah,
exactly. So like it wasn't the perfect game or a clean game. That would go to Aaron Banks. That was clean game. But if you look at Burford, it's a home run or he's down 0-2 in the count and regathers and is able to get on base somehow. Like that's what it was. But incredible performance. That interior offensive line set for week 1. It's set. Banks, then you got Brindell, then you got Burford. It's set. The killer bees in the middle. They're not going anywhere.
yeah, definitely. And I think that all three had fairly solid games. Obviously, you want to see how do the tackles play. Then again, it is replacement level tackles with McKivitz and Skule and whoever really plays out there. And I don't expect Williams or McGlinchey, definitely not McGlinchey, and I don't
No.
expect Williams to get a rep either without Trey Lance for sure. And so you're going to see these three interior guys play again. And the good thing is, 49ers are just letting them get reps. Last game, I know that they played well into the second quarter, and I think even I don't think they got in the third. I'm not. I have to check back on when the reps were, but I think it was well into the second quarter, and so it's good that they're letting them play a good amount.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's just going to take time. One of the things that I thought was interesting, Nick Sakel taking snaps at center
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
I've been waiting for that. I want him and
I've been
Pogan in
waiting for that
snaps.
all off season. There we go.
Yeah,
Finally.
this is great news. Now, okay, pump the brakes a little bit. No way that he's competing for center week 1, week 2,
Oh
week
yeah.
3, week 4, whatever. This is a long-term upside play.
Right.
But I think it's a testament to they feel good at guard. Guard has been somewhat solidified. So you keep Poe there, and once you get Brunskill back, that's another interior offensive line play. Now you're building long term for the center position, which I like.
Yeah, and you talk about Zakel at center. I wanted this for a good portion of training camp because he really was struggling at guard. He started with the second team at guard, got relegated to the third team in place of Keaton Sutherland, and then was like all right, but he had not won many one-on-one reps, and he doesn't necessarily work as well against quicker players who can just get by him just like that. So I want to see give him a reps where you said he was going to play in the future. John Lynch hinted that he could play at center,
Mm.
and so give him the reps. And obviously Brunskill's injury, because the 49ers have a logjam at center. Because even with Brunskill out, I was expecting Keaton Sutherland to get some reps because he had been getting some second and third team reps at center. They don't play him at center a lot at all. They play him at guard, which allows the Kel now to get that third team center role in that log jam and gets him some reps there at the position where now you can call protections and do all that kind of stuff as well.
Right, and I'll say this, again, with the positive comes the negative. Donovan West, the undrafted free agent, he struggled mightily.
Yeah.
It was really, really bad. He got 22 snaps, but it was bad, especially in the pass game. So,
Yeah,
um,
the pass protection has been really pretty shaky. He doesn't play a lot, right? In training camp, at least. He didn't play a lot, but you see it in the one-on-one reps. He's the guy who consistently lost, be it via anchoring or be it just via speed as well.
yeah, it's so you've got to, because right now with Brunskill out, like who's the backup center, right? I think it is Keaton Sutherland, but
Yeah.
you're not happy with that. That you don't want to go in. I mean, you remember the year we had 5 injuries at center before week 1. You've got to be prepared. You got to develop those guys. So you got to see what's going on there.
Yeah, definitely. Continuing with the questions, Travis asks, do you expect any starters to play against the Vikings? Uh, any
Talanoa
main
maybe.
ones?
Maybe Talanoa, but even him now with Ward out, I'd say no. None of the backers. Samuel Womack. I would put Samuel
Mm,
Womack,
yeah,
and that would be huge. I would put Spencer Burford out there. I would put Aaron Banks out there. I would put Jake
Charlie
Brendel out
Brindle.
there.
Yeah.
So those would be all of the answers that I have that I could think of. Now, what's going to be interesting with Josh Hawkett's been cut. Do they just scrap all 21 personnel with fullback
Uh,
plays, or do
we'll
they put?
see. The thing is, what I heard from Jack Hammer at training camp was they actually put Dwelly out there
Yeah, he started
in some
for
fullback.
Juszczyk when he got injured, right?
Yeah.
So, and now that you have Charlie Warner back, the true tight end 2, and I think that Croft is going to win that tight end 3 job. That's just my own personal take on it right now. That's awesome. Give Dwelly an extra spot to where he can compete on the back end. I don't have Dwelly making this roster right now, but if he could prove that he could be that fullback spot, yeah, who knows? Because he can do all the special team stuff.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I mean, he is a guy who also has the familiarity with the playbook, with the offense, right? Because he's been here for the entirety of his career, as opposed to a guy maybe like a Tyler Croft, Troy Fumagalli, and the other players who are also fighting for that TE2 spot. I honestly don't think there is a clear, definitive answer behind George Kittle and maybe now even Charlie Warner now that Warner's back in the fold. I don't think there's a
Yeah.
definitive answer, which is why it'll be also interesting to see who separates themselves in that tight end mix.
And if we're got to talk about Tanner Hudson,
Yeah, yeah.
the
Tanner Hudson for
highest.
sure.
Yeah, the highest PFF grade, had that touchdown, which was just awesome scramble drill from a tight end. Usually you see that from wide receivers where you mirror the quarterback on his linear motion. It was textbook what he did. You could tell he had, a lot of experience, and that's what he brings to the table. So, yeah, the tight end, there's a lot of depth there. I feel
There
like
is.
1 and 2 set, that 3 spot, good gosh, all of them could win. But I
Yeah,
think Croft would be who I'd go with now. But Tanner
right.
Hudson, he's pressing. He's pressing.
I think so too. I mean, there are a lot of candidates, like you said. Hudson, he's had like a big catch a day in a way throughout the second half of training camp. And so if he shows to be reliable, shows that he can pancake, because the issue was he couldn't block, but he's pancaked sometimes in training camp. If he can show, like, continue to show this, especially in the run game, could be an intriguing candidate because he also was in the building last year.
Yeah, and I think you look at he had the second highest run grade on the entire offensive
That's
side,
good.
next to Jason Poe, and I was talking about this with Wade the other day. Jason Poe had a 90.3 run block grade and a 12.7 pass block grade.
Uh-oh. Yikes.
I mean, he's just so raw. He's just so raw. He's got a ways to go, but he shows you the flashes. But yeah, if you get that consistency, receiving wise, he's got it. He might be the best, wide receiver, tight end option that we have outside of Kittle. It's just, can he get the consistency in the run game?
Yeah, definitely. Speaking about the run game and the offensive line, Coach asked, do you think Jordan Mills gets a shot?
Yeah, he could. I don't think he'll start, but I think he gets second half snaps.
Yeah.
I want to see, if I had it my way, I would do a quarter of Colton McKivitz. I would do a quarter of Spencer Burford. I'd do 1 quarter of Justin Schools, see what he gets. Then I'd do 1 quarter of Jordan Mills. Like, I gotta see.
You want Burford at right tackle? Ooh, I like
Oh
that
no,
idea.
did I say Burford? I'm sorry. I McKivitz. No, Jalen Moore. Sorry about that. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, McKivitz,
That makes more
Jalen Moore,
sense
then Justin
because
School. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Burford at right tackle, maybe in
Uh,
2023, just not right now. Definitely
Maybe.
not right
Yeah,
now.
no. Sorry about that. Misspoke.
Jalen Moore, though, I mean, I wouldn't mind that for sure. I think Jordan Mills is a dark horse candidate for the 53. A lot of people are talking about guys like Jason Poe. A lot of people talk about guys like Nick Zakelj. But if the 49ers want win now players, and if Mike McGlinchey's injury is lingering,
Yep.
Jordan Mills is your second best right tackle at the moment. And Colton McKivitz is there, but he's more of he's a swing tackle / guard type of player. If you talk about the backup offensive lineman, you could see an offensive line group of McKivitz, Brunskill, Jordan Mills, and then whoever I'm missing one person, but or no, you could roll with 8. If you roll with 8, those could be your 8 pretty much, and you can cut the other guys and play them as practice squad players.
And remember, too, part of the calling up 2 practice squad players a week, one of
Yeah,
which has to be an offensive lineman. So
and
even
that
though
could
you
be
have
Mills too.
8,
Yeah,
right? So even though you have 8 on your initial 53, which is what I expect as well, you'd call up that one that could come up there and get snaps. Which Jordan Mills, even though he's a vet, he's been out on the streets for a minute. He's somebody that could be that call up player. But we'll
exactly.
see. We'll see what long term, probably not an option. But
Yeah.
McGlinchey's injury, as you said, very well said. If McGlinchey is injured, Jordan Mills will be in the mix. I expect that completely.
And the thing is also with that call up, the one other important thing, waivers. Jordan Mills, since he's been here for a while, he has the more than 4 years of accrued service, I believe. He can get cut and go straight to the 49ers instead of going through waivers. You don't have to lose him, sign him to the practice squad, and on game days, you call him up. You can put Zakelj and if Poe makes it, you can put those type of players as inactive. Or
Yep.
you put Jalen Moore as inactive while he nurses from injury if you don't put him on IR. And so you can put those type of guys as inactive and then activate Poe to play pretty much like they did with Brendel last year.
Yep. No, I like that. And you just got to be smart with those numbers. But again, it all hinges on that McGlinchey injury, how soon he can come back and what that looks like.
Yeah. My guy Aaron coming in, 49ers first takes, asking, these camp injuries have me worried for the start of the season. Do you feel the same?
Man, injuries are a part of football. You play football, you're going to get injured. 100% injury rate. Even the guys that play every game, they're banged up like crazy. Soft tissue stuff's problematic. It bothers me a little bit, but the 49ers definitely are not on the worst end of NFL injuries thus far. We just got to wait and see. People are going to get hurt. More people are going to get hurt. And I think that's a big reason why we're not going to see a lot of starters, as we've talked about in this game, besides rookies and some of the younger guys. But yeah, I don't know. 49ers have been on the bad end of injuries since Shanahan showed up.
Yeah.
And I hope that takes a turn at some point. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, Shanahan was talking about how these injuries this year have been kind of more because there's an off day, and then like
Mhm.
that schedule because of the requirements have led to some of these injuries. So hopefully the 49ers find a certain way to kind of deal with these injuries for sure.
Yeah. I like that Portola 45 comment. That is hilarious.
Get Mills an Airbnb in Santa Clara.
I love it, man. This guy's awesome.
Nope 00 asking any update on Alfredo Gutierrez. I'll take this one for quick. He's not making the roster. He's it's not like he's not a bad Like he's not like he's got what you want in a suit, like a big tackle, right? He's huge, 6'7", how many ever pounds. It's just he's not refined at all in pass protection at the moment. And when you see it, he'll win maybe one or two one-on-one reps here and there, but in 11 on 11s, he continuously gets beat. He doesn't like he gets beat in all sorts of ways. I just don't think he's more than anything than the International Pathways program player, which keeps
Which
him
is
off.
awesome. Which is
Yeah,
awesome.
because
It's
you
just,
get the
yeah, I'm
extra
with you.
spot. And I mean, obviously a great story. It's just I don't think he has an NFL future as a starter or even a backup right now.
Yeah, I think he's somebody that could bounce around on some 90-man rosters, but uh, until he steps up a little bit in pass pro, I don't know. He's got the size. It's just, yeah, he's learning on the curve still.
Yeah. And as Spynick Danger says, go Rohan, go John. But most importantly, guys, hit that like button if you guys enjoy this content right here. We obviously enjoy putting it out. Obviously, love talking with John. So make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscription button as well. Stay tuned with all the content. And also stay tuned for John's giveaways because he be doing a lot of them and he always gives back to the faithful, especially ahead of week 1.
We're working on. I probably shouldn't tease this. Working on getting some a pair of tickets, good tickets to the home opener game that we're going to be giving away. So still working on some
Ooh,
details
I
for
told
that.
you, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay
So.
tuned. See, you got to get me on the show because I'm the one that forces John to spoil the news for all of you.
Oh,
So,
spoiler, Rohan.
perfect. Uh, Edward here says move Poe to right guard, kick Burford to right tackle until Mills is ready. Do you like this idea, or you think it's a little too far fetched?
Yeah, Poe's not ready. I do not want Poe getting starter snaps at all right now in his pass protection. Run blocking, yeah, he's elite. But again, make Trey comfortable in the pass game. I don't think we're there for that. Poe is a long-term play. And Poe is somebody that I really, really like. And maybe eventually you can move Burford to center. I would like that idea more than moving him to right tackle. I think that he could probably do both. But Poe is a long-term answer at center or guard. Not this year. Probably not this year. Even though I like him, like crazy like him, he needs time. He needs seasoning.
Yeah, and I mean when you talk about Poe, right? He's obviously intriguing, but he's small. That's something that is clearly
Very
seen
small.
when you see it. Like that was the first thing I saw when I went to camp. He was just the smallest offensive lineman I've ever seen. He anchors fairly well, but the issue is right now, yeah, he's a work in progress, a development project, practice squad type of player because I don't think he goes claimed. I don't think that you should start Poe there. And I think you also, especially with Burford, he's a rookie. Don't push him to a position that he's not comfortable at right now. Keep him at right guard where he's played all offseason.
Yeah.
Drew asks, I'm worried about Mitchell already having hamstring injuries, not even playing 1 week yet. Are you worried about Mitchell, or do you think the 49ers will manage him well enough this season?
With where they are now, I'm not too stressed about the running back position, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of healthy guys that are there. I want Mitchell back correctly. Now, he added a lot of size. I was pretty shocked whenever he came to our draft party in Vegas. I was like, dude's a lot bigger than I thought he was. He added some weight, but he's going to be all right. He's going to be in and out of the lineup, as all running backs are. And I would rather him miss week 1 and week 2 than anything else. I think he'll be ready week 1, but these issues, they're nagging, but it's a real thing. The good news is you have the depth behind them. The 49ers are more than capable with what they have in that backfield right now.
Yeah, definitely. He also asks, heard Trey got touch sack with Banks and Burford playing. They were. One thing about these touch sacks in a way, it's also hard to indicate where the sacks would be. And also quarterbacks in this part of this part of practice are more inclined to stay in the pocket, especially Lance, because he wants to try and complete different throws. And so that's where you see a good amount of the sacks. Again, offensive line is an issue normally. The 49ers do also try something I noticed towards the end. They cycle in their second and first team offensive line at times. So you might see the backups playing against the starters with Trey Lance. So again,
Yep.
context is required. Not a great sign that you're sacked 4 times, but context is required, like I said.
It's funny. I've been on the offensive and defensive side of the coaching staffs when they do these things, and here's what's funny. We'll be watching the film on the offensive side, and somebody like a tag will be like, "Oh, that would have been a sack," and then I've been on the defensive side, "Oh, 100% a sack." So it's all a matter of perspective. But yeah, if you're coaching Trey Lance right now, you're telling him keep your rear end in the pocket, win from inside. All that extra stuff, we're going to be, doing that later. That's it. You don't practice that. So that's one of the things, like, don't look too much in it. Remember, this was the same week, I think it was against the Broncos, where Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 interceptions in one
Yeah.
day, and then they went to the Super Bowl. So like, chill out a little bit on the practice inter squad, whatever deals.
Exactly.
Oh,
Corey
real quick,
here.
breaking news real quick,
Ooh,
if you got a
let's
second.
go for it.
From Dan Graziano,
Of
Schefter just
ESPN.
retweeted
Okay.
this. Yes. Deshaun Watson situation, believe resolution will come today or tomorrow. Talks
Interesting.
between the NFL and Watson's reps have heightened, and they think that they can reach a settlement without Peter C.,
Oh,
the designated ruler. Harvey, so to have a rule, but it's unclear how much longer we will wait. But the idea that we could have something today or tomorrow, this is very, very important for Jimmy Garoppolo, the whole Garoppolo thing, which Mary Kay Cabot, she has said that the Browns have talked about pursuing Jimmy Garoppolo if the suspension is longer than 6 games. So one thing I can tell you for sure, it's going to be longer than 6 games no matter what. If they reach a settlement, my guess is going to be 10 to 12 games. If they do not reach a settlement, it will be a year indefinitely. Anyway, so thought I'd throw that out there.
yeah, definitely. And that's good news because obviously that means, I mean, knowing that it's the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo, we're not going to get a resolution, but hopefully a resolution comes sooner than later because the Deshaun Watson news is there. The settlement news is interesting because that might not mean a full suspension and more so a bigger fine, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's all conjecture at this point, but something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Corey here asking who's on the outside or inside after Armstead and Kinlaw has been showing up. Kemdiche obviously got cut. The guys that I've seen, at least in the depth chart, have been Kevin Givens. He's been the number one, and he looked actually fairly solid. Kevin Givens is a guy, in my opinion at least, that could be a starting defensive lineman for another team, which is why he's a quality backup. And then the other guys that I've seen on the inside are guys that rotate, versatile guys like Kerry Hyder. Omenahue has played on the inside as well, and so you've seen different guys on the inside. What did you see from the tape?
Yeah, tape was all right. Kevin Atkins, who came in late,
Yeah,
he had a good, like, he's got a good first step, which I like. Also, Hassan Ridgeway's back to working
yeah.
out. That's a
Oh,
big one
good,
because he's
good
that
point.
number 4 defensive tackle. Now, Hassan Ridgeway's unlike anybody else we have. He is a pure run stuffing penetration guy. He has no he's not a slicer or whatever. He just moves the offensive lineman back every single play. So he is purely a run stuffer, almost a lock to make this roster. He's making it no matter what. But those 4, they're making it, right? The starters who were mentioned in the comment, then Givens and Ridgeway, those 4 are locks.
Yeah.
After that, do you get versatile with Kerry Hyder and Charles Omenahue, or do you keep somebody else, to put in there? I don't know. I don't see it. I haven't seen it yet. They released 2 defensive tackles just 2 days ago. So
Yeah, ton of depth,
yeah,
and I think the Ridgeway signing really paved the way for them to. Him returning paved the way for them to release Kemdiche. Another name in there that I don't think makes the 53, but was higher on the depth chart was Akeem Spence. Has seen time with the first team defense during training
yeah,
camp
good
a little bit.
reps, good reps.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So overall, it's just damn deep unit. That's just the takeaway from it. Just deep as hell. Like you could just pull names out of a hat, and I'm sure they're on the 49ers defensive line.
You're not wrong. I mean, my favorite part, it made me chuckle. Alex Barrett went from playing defensive tackle in the first half. Then
Yeah.
they moved him to defensive end, and then they called a double dogs blitz. So both the Mike and Will blitzed, and
Yeah.
so he was responsible for the running back out in the flats. Well, it was a Will route, and so that's the one where he had to turn and chase. So he went from defensive tackle to guarding a running back 40 yards downfield outside the numbers. I just was like laughing, like how many defensive tackles get asked to do that? Anyway, I was laughing the whole time. Like perfect play call from the Packers there. Hopefully the Niners don't do too many of those Unless I don't know who I'd want out there. Probably Samson would be the
Yeah,
best in
Ecom
that
would be
position.
good.
But yeah, there you go. Yeah,
All right,
Simpson.
we got about 10-ish minutes left, so get your questions in. We're going to be continuing to answer all of your questions here on this fine Wednesday morning. And once again, John, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you for giving your time for a great
This is
show.
awesome, man.
Yeah,
I'll say this, like I feel like we're all in the same place right now because it's so much excitement. Not every NFL team has it. But golly, you listen to national media and stuff right now. One of the games, if not the game of the week, was the 49ers versus Packers. There's just so much stuff to look forward to and things to be excited about because there's questions. It's young. But remember, 49ers were in the NFC Championship last year. And so this roster's ready to win. You've got this huge change at quarterback. It's just, I don't know, man. I can't remember the last time it felt like this going into a 49ers season. Maybe 2020, which was a huge letdown, but this is prime time to be a 49ers fan and just enjoy, this excitement and anticipation without knowing. And it's just such a cool time right now.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, we're so close, so close. It's just great that we get football back, in whatever capacity. Great that we get football back, and we're almost there before the 49ers rush party week 1.
Oh, yes. 49ers Rush Road Trip. Thank you, man. Appreciate the plug there,
Always.
Rohan. Are you coming to any away games? Are
I
we going to
might
be able to
come to
hang out?
Chicago. I'll let you know. I might
Oh,
I might be there week 1, so we'll see. Yeah.
dude, I love it. Yeah, because there's, the Giants at Wrigley. They play back-to-back days. We're going to be
Ooh, yeah.
partying out there. We've got the tailgate set up on Lake Michigan, unlimited beers and brats. Go get your tickets, 49ersrushroadtrip.com. Every single away game the entire year. We got a party the night before the game, and we got your tailgate covered. If you can't make it out to both, make it out to one. And we do giveaways at all of them. So it's going to be a good time. So 49ersrushroadtrip.com if you haven't checked it out yet.
Exactly. For the people, Mr. John Chapman, be sure to go over to 49ers Rush Podcast for sure. And Chat J, and we get another question from Mike Chilton over there in the comments about Brendel. What are you seeing from Brendel, and what do you think he should improve on? This is one of the concerns Chat J thought about. And what else are you seeing from him?
Yeah, he watched my Patreon breakdown because that was a huge point of emphasis. Brendell's one of the most athletic centers in the NFL, and he gets there quick. Like he
Yeah,
can lateral step, dodge the one technique, get to the second level, perfect position. The issue is it's one count. 2 to 3 counts, they're slipping him. And so, a lot of those backside cuts and all the kind of zone read scheme, he's got to hold that. So that's something he's got to work on. He can get there, but the timing factor and maintaining those blocks, I didn't see it very consistently. So that's something we got to wait on. That's something I want to watch. And again, man, Shotjay, credit to you, my friend, understanding kind of the advanced part of that position, because it's not just about pass protection, not just about getting to the second level. You got to get there and hold it for 2.5 counts.
sustain the blocks. Yeah.
And that's difficult to do. The athleticism says he could do it. I'm not sure the strength's there. He needs to use his hands a little bit more and kind of grasp on.
Yeah, definitely. Tim here asked, I'm very interested to get your opinion on Trace Sermon, who had an interesting game. What was your breakaway from it or breakdown from it? Because I know I had a couple of opinions of my own that might have differed from the public opinion.
I thought it was better than last year's Trey Sermon. Not near as good as TDP, though. Whenever
Okay.
Trey Sermon was out there, I was like, all right, all right, all right. And then I saw TDP and I was like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. Like, that's what the big bodied, decisive back, short yardage, that's what I want. And so he had some good reps, 6 carries, 11 yards, not great. He had a lot of negative reps too, where he was just indecisive, stopped his momentum completely. And that's the thing with TDP. He doesn't stop momentum. He just goes forward. And, Shanahan has been on the record saying his Trey Sermon's decisiveness, that's what he wants. Pick the hole, hit the hole. So I'm a little bit higher on Sermon than I was last year, but not as much as I am TDP. And if I was in charge of the running back rotation, TDP would be getting those snaps over Sermon.
Okay, there we go. You heard it here first from John Chapman. TDP over Sermon right now. And to me, It is about decisiveness. If Trey Sermon can be decisive, he's going to be a good running back because
Mhm.
he can take off and he can have the one cut and go. He isn't dancing as much as he did
No.
last year, which was the main issue, right? With Trey Sermon, he was just trying to he was adjusting from the college game, and so to me, Sermon had looked fairly solid in camp. He's going to get probably the RB1 snaps again this week, unless Jeff Wilson comes back. So that's something to see. He's going to get the opportunity again against a fairly solid defensive line, at least for the first kind of series. So I want to see how Trey Sermon does, and can he continue to just utilize his eyes and see what the offensive line gives him? Because I didn't think his
Yep.
performance was as bad as people indicated, just because the 6 carries, right, 11 yards. I think it was heavily skewed on certain plays that were for losses, which weren't necessarily his fault. But overall, you do want to see that decisiveness continue to be consistent for Trey Sermon rather than be here and there.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, man. And again, if you just look at Trey Sermon's like carries, you're like, all right, this is not bad. And it's not bad. But then you look at the context of the other people's carries, even Jermichael Hasty I'd throw in there, even Jordan Mason I'd throw in there. It was much more decisive and clean and just, yeah, okay, there it is. Now maybe they had better holes, whatever else to run through. I don't know, but he's got to step it up a little. I want to see more. I want to see more. This is going to be a big week for him.
Yeah, definitely. And so that also answers Big Papa's question about the running backs. So we'll go over to Luke Luna, who asked about the corners. Do you think that they will stay available this season, or do you think injuries are just a precaution?
Injury's going to happen. The depth is there. Jason Verrett, I'm pretty sure, is going to be on the pup to start the season. So he's going to be that kind of middle of the game reliever that's going to step into the heart of the schedule. But you're built in a way to where I think that you have 4 decent. You've got 2 stud starters, Mosley and Ward. Ward definitely cornerback 1, but Ambry Thomas, Diamador, Lenore, like rotating those guys in. You throw out Lenore. If he struggles, you throw out Thomas. He struggles, you go back to Lenore, and you just allow those guys. The thing that I will say, Josh Norman's not walking through that door, thank God. So we're at a much better place than we were last year.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you said, no Josh Norman, no Drake Kirkpatrick. We've got better depth this year, and obviously we got better high end talent. Do I think they stay available? Good question, because neither Mosley or Ward have played a full season since 2019. Ward has missed about 2 to 3 games a year. Last year, he missed, I believe, 4 games last year. Mosley obviously missed, I believe, 6 games last year in the regular season. And so, they have had injury concerns in the past. I'm expecting at least one of them to miss games this season, if not
Oh,
both,
yeah.
which has been the norm. That's just football in general. But the 49ers, they were able to work with guys like Josh Norman last year. You have better depth this year. Hopefully they continue to develop like Ambry Thomas did as the season went along last year. And Diamador Lenore, who's looked better so far, hopefully they continue to develop and can be serviceable when they are called upon to play on the field.
Yep, I'm with you there. I'm with you. Well said.
Yeah. To wrap up, we got got 2 more questions here. Corey asking, what are your updated predictions on who stays on the team in the running back room? We talked about 3 of them in Mitchell, Sermon, and TDP. I think they're locks. What do you think? And who do you think is that 4th guy if they are locks?
If I was making the decision, I'd keep Hasty just because of what he could do on 3rd downs. I don't want him
Okay.
ever taking a special teams kickoff return again. But he looked the part, man. And, TDP getting the ball freaking spiked off his face mask by Brock Purdy on that kind of zone. They set up the screen for him. Like, I haven't seen another running back that can do the 3rd down duties like Hasty can. And so that's who I would keep. Now, Jeff Wilson Jr., I don't know what to say about him because they're really, really high on him. But in his last 5 active games last year, he got 0 touches. It's crazy to keep a running back that gets 0 touches, but they like him. And, he has done great things in the passing game in the past. So it's still, I wouldn't put Jordan Mason in there yet. I love Jordan Mason. And I
Me
think
too.
that he
Yeah.
will play a role for the 49ers this year, but I do not have him making the 53 currently, not unless he does something crazy or an injury takes place. But I think he'll be around the 49ers, but probably not on the 53.
I think so too. I think the 49ers just like other guys better. I'm going to go a different direction. I think they
Ooh.
keep Jeff Wilson Jr. instead as that guy. The only issue right now with Jeff Wilson Jr. is, can he remain healthy? And he didn't play in game 1. and I think he will play a little bit in game 2. I just want to see, can Jeff Wilson Jr. remain on the field, because in my opinion right now he is the better third down option, just because at least he's been a little more consistent with catching the ball, and he also has experience, more importantly, being a lead back in this offense, which we don't see with TDP or Trey Sermon, just because they haven't had that experience yet. I think that that's valuable, and I think that Jeff Wilson Jr. just adds something a little different. I like Jordan Mason, like you said. I think, though, the 49ers right now would probably prefer Jeff Wilson Jr. At least it's what's shown on the depth chart. Would he be surprised if Mason made the 53? No. But I think that Jeff Wilson Jr. right now has a little bit of the advantage on Jordan Mason right now for that last spot.
Yep, with you there, man. And it's going to be, it's going to solve itself. Right, I'm just going to be honest. Like, think about the running back injuries in the past. Somebody's going to, unfortunately, probably get nicked up a little bit, and the decision will be made. Right now, you've got those guys. You just keep plugging away, try to develop them. It's going to solve itself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with that question, that is a great place to wrap up today's show. John, thank you so much, as I said, for tuning in and joining me today. Be sure to let everybody know where they can find you and all the 49ers Rush stuff that you're doing. Some great stuff over there.
Yeah, Patreon's definitely the best place to go. Just patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast, or just Google 49ers Patreon. We have our bonus show. We do a bonus podcast live show for Patreon members only. We're doing that today at 4 p.m. with 49ers Cutback. So that's probably where I would check things out. But yeah, just type in John Chapman or 49ers Rush wherever you listen or watch podcasts. You're going to find us there. Patreon's the best place, though. Every single offensive, defense, and special team snap from the Packers game, all completely broken down. We do every play from every single game for the past 2 years. This is year 3 we've done it. And you can go back and watch old games if you want to. That's available as soon as you sign up.
Hey, you heard it right here. Go to Patreon, 4 p.m. today. John Chapman, he's going to be on 49ers Cutback. But as I said, thank you for tuning in. As always, guys, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, not only for his channel, but for my channel as well.
Yes.
I appreciate both, or really everybody in this chat, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.